right. Hello, everyone. Thanks for taking time out of your schedule to join us. Let's go ahead and get started. Raul, do you have, are you ready for the technical update?
Yes, I do. Let me copy the link to the most recent report. And today we have, I think Raphael wants to also make a demo, show a demo of what he did with the Ecole 42 folks in training them. He has created a thing called the RNode, a script called RNode that lets the folks that are new to RChain get going quickly without pain. So I think he wants to show that. But let me get started with my report, and then I'll turn it over to Raphael after that. So there's the link to Community Update 221. That's today's technical debrief notes. So the big thing the team has been working on last week, and more than last week, actually last couple of weeks, has been getting ready to implement finalization in the simple protocol method, which is to say that they'll ignore any potential network partition and proceed with finalization, assuming that the full network is available. So in that context, they've been doing a lot of cleanup and refactoring in the last week. Basically the code base is now much simplified. And then there's, of course, new structures that are created that are being integrated. So that's really what the core of the work has been. I listed the related PRs here for that work. And the other thing I want to point out is that I had been referring to the next release that'll be upcoming as 0.13.1. That was a mistake on my part because we're calling the current version on the testnet as 0.13.0 alpha 2 at this point in time. So really the next release that'll be coming is 0.13.0 and then the following one will be 0.13.1. So I'll probably go back and fix the previous reports accordingly. So the core team has been working on that. The team has been working on this finalization. So Tomislav, NetZipper, Stas, everybody has been working on these pieces that go with it. And Will has been focused on registry, on improvements to the process to update the registry. And that he has got the main piece of that now completed. He's got a couple more things he needs to do, either bugs or hindrances. These two things he needs to clear so that the registry update will proceed well. And that's removing one unnecessary signature in the insert signed function, as well as the making sure that the auth key is used only once and is not reusable. So those are a couple of things he has to take care of. With that, that activity will be complete. And I already talked about how NetZipper and Stas have been working with Tomislav to move the finalization piece forward. Dennis had, last time I said that he's working on performance measurements to identify sort of the root causes and areas of improvement in the Rolang map implementation. So he's published a draft PR. He still has work to do there with the Rolang map implementation, but he's moving along that path. And Max will be joining him. Max was working on the S-codec-based serialization to see if that gives any performance optimizations, but basically the results indicate that it's not worth it. I think we were looking at, we're seeing maybe less than 10% kind of improvement. So making all the changes necessary to go with that is probably not worth it at this time. So he's going to be focusing more on helping Dennis with tasks on this Rolang map performance optimization. And then we had a very good review meeting yesterday with one of the external validator groups. They had been testing on the testnet for more than a week. Actually, I think maybe 2 weeks now. And their experience is good, and they seem to be ready to be an external validator whenever the code is ready. Of course, in between now and then, they'll be testing with the new versions as they come out. The other thing that's going on, there is substantial market engagement, and the team will be spending a little bit of time on these initiatives so that they kind of understand what the market needs, what kind of architectures people are implementing, what are the use cases, so that informs the product feature set that needs to be developed, or any additional features we need to consider to make these kinds of use cases easy. However, this is just a short-term thing. We do want to minimize the time that the core team has to spend on this, unless we have a much more expansive core team. There's only so much we can take on at a time, and we clearly have block merge delivery as a commitment to the community that we need to stay focused on. So in the long run, we'll probably either create other teams or enable others to support the enterprise engagements. Of course, even now, whatever the core team doesn't have to review or doesn't have to get involved with, that's the approach that we're taking, is that others will be doing that. So that, I think, is overall the tech update from me for today. Before I hand it over to Raphael, are there any questions, comments from anyone? Over to you, Raphael. Oh, did I share my screen? I don't remember.
No, you did not.
But you have the link. Sorry about that.
Okay, so yeah, I'll try to share my screen. Do you hear me well?
Yes, we do.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay, let's go. So yeah, so I'm going first to talk about the follow-up with the students of Ecole 42. So April 12th, we had the Greg's presentation, and lots of students wanted to kind of join the RChain movement. And of course, they are developers. So we had our first session last week, April 21st. And basically, it was a mix between development and slides about Roland. So we talked about the syntax and what does it mean and what does it allow from a scalability perspective. So for example, I talked about if you deploy just an empty kind of Roland, if 11 validators deploy this same thing, they can have different orders. It does not matter at all. So it's been posted on YouTube. So the guys who speak French, you can just listen to it. It's in French. Yeah, in this context, the dappy team has developed a kind of embed library for RNode for development only, and it is called Easy RNode. So you can get Easy RNode by installing the dappy software. So it's kind of part of a big repository that is called dappy. Let me find it on npm. Yep, that's it. So you have to do npm install at fabcotech/dappy, and in this repository you have an executable that is called Easy RNode. And I'm simply going to demonstrate how it works. So I'm starting from scratch. So the first step is at fabcotech/dappy, of course. So just do this. I already have the library installed, so there is no need for that. So you can just create an empty directory. So the goal is very simple. It's to get started with Roland as quick as possible. So you just create a repository, let's say test3. Then you cd into it. And then you have this first command, Easy RNode init. And what it does is that it creates the bonds files and the wallets files by default with a private key that like everyone knows. So you should not use it for production, of course. So the wallet file and the bonds file. So it has only one identity. It is a one node blockchain, of course. And then you just do easy RNode run. And it runs a standalone blockchain. So you have to wait a bit. It has automatic propose of blocks. So that's why you see those error logs, because it instantly tries to propose. So it's not perfect. But yeah, the goal is to get started quickly. Let's wait just a bit. We can see that the wallets have been loaded, as well as the validators through the bond file. And we have this log, so it's ready apparently to receive deploys. So I'm going to switch to VS Code. And now we can use the third command, easy RNode deploy. And you're just going to give it a Roland file. Let's say I'm going to deploy this hello world, which was part of the tutorial of April 21st. So you just do easy RNode deploy step 1 hello world. So your Roland file basically. And let's check it. Okay, we can see the log here, the hello world. So you don't have to deal with flow price, flow limit, valid after block, private key, public key, etc. You just deploy and everything is by default. You can also override any settings with the commands that you should know already as a RChain developer. And you have another cool feature, which is a -- wait. And it allows you to get the value on the deploy ID. So for example, I want to know the result of this Roland like execution on the first unforgeable name. So I should get hello. And so I can just do easy RNode deploy the Roland file, but I will add, so if I do just this, it tells me that deploy is this and that's it. But I can do -- wait. And it will wait until there is something on the first unforgeable name. And yeah, there are upcoming changes on this. So very soon you'll have to do to reference the deploy kind of ID here, something like that. But at least today it works. So you have the result, hello. So that's easy RNode in a nutshell. You have the command easy RNode help. So that's it. We have shown the 3 commands. It's very simple. It does very few things, but for development, I guess it's fine.
Very nice, Raphael.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's important to make sure that people that are new to RNode are not scared away with all the installation steps and can quickly get to experiencing Golang and then come back and peel the onion and look under the covers kind of thing. So
yes,
thank you.
I must add that Paul Musso from dappy team has worked hard on this, so I'm not the main developer of easy RNode.
Very good.
Yeah, it's
Thanks.
really cool. Yeah, I think it really opens up, the experience, so that people can play with Roland right away. That's a very nice feature.
Yep, that's the goal. Thanks.
Excellent. All right. So the board met yesterday. It was largely an informational discussion. There was no voting, so nothing to report that way. There is a lot going on in RChain, but unfortunately, so much of it has to be for the closed door session. So I urge everyone to go to the closed door session this Friday. I will for the one that's sort of friendlier for China time zones, that has to be rescheduled because of the availability of the translator. But certainly the 11 o'clock on Friday will be there, and I strongly encourage anyone who's interested in what's going on with RChain and who is a member to join the closed door session, because there is a lot going on, and the pace is really picking up. But we do still have the community week in review. So Daryl, are you ready with that?
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. So here's the week in review from April 21st to April 27th. On Friday in the Climate Coordination RCast, we had the pleasure of speaking with RChain staff and board member Steve Ross Talbot, also CEO of RPC, about his history, his path to meeting Greg, Earth Day, and RChain Publishing. And on, let's see, yesterday in the Communications Working Group, we discussed work being done on RChain's near linear scaling proof and explainer video that we're working on. I did a transcript of Greg's talk at Ecole 42, and you can check that out right now at blog.rchain.coop. We also talked about Steve Henley's work towards a content calendar to get better cadence on Twitter and other social media. And this morning in the active member hangout, we discussed Theo's new robot that finally showed up in the mail. We also talked about the RDAO initiative in the Discord members channel. And then that led to a conversation about nuclear energy as a safe, viable model to contribute to decarbonization. And then we talked about Elon Musk's purchase of Twitter and how it might affect Project Blue Sky. That brings us to now.
Thanks, Daryl. Any questions for Daryl?
Is there an update pertaining to the Casper stand-up?
Yes. So, sorry. This week we went over the examples for the giving actual types for the broker example. So I provided a more detailed information about how to set up the category. So we could think of this as now providing a framework for what Abramsky was initially calling interaction categories. The definition of the arrow type, which gives us an arrow type for the for calculi like the row calculus and the pi calculus, also gives us an arrow type for the lambda calculus, and so it's exactly the same definition, but the arrow type that you recover from the lambda calculus is exactly the arrow type from the sort of standard Lambeck and Scott notion of arrow types, the simply typed lambda calculus. So that alone is a remarkable technical result. But we go on to work out some examples, and it's interesting because in these sort of mostly compact closed settings, you have to decide up front how you're grouping the wires associated with the boxes, and as a result, the categorical types that are auto-generated by the algorithm are I know upfront are not open in that. So that's one piece of the puzzle that it's interesting, I guess, is what I would say. It sort of is another commentary on category theory for those people who are interested in these kinds of things. You know, a lot of the world is is finally picking up on category theory, but the mobile process calculi have something that is some features that are not well represented in category theory. So in particular, the mobile process calculi offer the ability to have dynamic and reconfigurable communication topology, which I'm oftentimes described as sort of very standard and natural, both in the internet and in the biological and chemical worlds and other worlds. So it's a very, it's important to have this kind of expressive power that you can easily in one-liners provide good, sort of high-level syntax to describe these kinds of design patterns, like the broker pattern. And if we have, if it takes a lot of work to express those patterns, then something is wrong. And it takes a lot of work to express them in category theory. So the calculi, like the pi calculus or the row calculus, they're better suited for those kinds of domains of application. The point about being able to turn a language like Rolang into a categorical framework is to show that at least it's possible to do that, to sort of marry the two worlds together. But the category theoretic framework is, at least in the initial way that we've done it, is a little bit less compelling. So this I believe provides important critique for the mathematical community and for the programming language design community and others. In terms of the delivery of these features into Rolang implementations or search-based implementations, almost certainly the natively generated types would be better suited to development and certainly for search. But it definitely bears more investigation to make sure that we've got a compelling case for why to choose that design path versus another. I know that's a lot of information. A lot of it's probably more technical than the RChain community debrief often wants, but it is of significant interest, I think, to the developer community. So any questions about that? In the back.
No questions.
Okay. All right. Any questions, comments, concerns, considerations from the community?
Trademarks.
Thank you. Yes, our use statement was accepted by the U.S. Patent Office. So that means that in a couple of months, the trademark the RChain trademarks will be official. So Rev is trademarked, and yes, which means that we can quickly, people should be able to disambiguate our Rev from anything else. So that's good news.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to also acknowledge Alan Tomini's comment, I believe, in the public channels on Pub Discord or Pub RChain to say simplify the format of the presentation. He's just saying, just give a red, green, yellow for whatever is planned. So Alan, I did see that comment. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about that in terms of, I'll be curious as to what tool they're using with the screenshot that you pointed there. And it may be not just me, but it may need a little bit more discussion beyond me with a larger group to say if something like that would be acceptable for tech debrief or not. So yeah, ping me with the tool that. Yeah, but what Alan is saying is the tech debrief is too detailed. Why can't we just do a kind of red, green, yellow on where we are with things, kind of thing? So
I love the idea of red, green, yellow. Red, green, yellow is awesome.
So
I also want to encourage that, community members are more than welcome to provide sort of pre-digested versions of the community debrief. So there's no reason not to just take the material from the community debrief and make your own sort of, simplified version. And if there are, multiple news sources that are providing, sort of initial market with initial contact or a particular take on what's going on with RChain that then causes someone to go a little deeper and look at the community debrief, or perhaps even join the co-op or start issuing pull requests. All of that is fair game. This is your co-op. You get to do whatever you want to make it succeed. And the same is true for dApps and everything else, right? The fastest way to get Rev into its proper role as a utility is to encourage people to develop dApps, to help people understand what it takes to build dApps. So in the same way that Raphael has done just fantastic work showing how easy it is to start up a node, how easy it is to run Rolang, and has made a compelling case for dappy. I think there's so much low-hanging fruit, and the community doesn't have to wait for the co-op to do all these things, right? Part of it is that you don't have to sit on your hands and wait. Now would be the time to encourage or help any groups to build dApps. And the more dApps are using the platform, the more there is demand for the token. So it's all creates that role of the token as the utility token, which is what we've been trying to promote for a very long period of time.
Yeah, what I wanted to say is not quite red, green, and yellow, but there is this view of the project that's already available in GitHub that says, okay, what are the to-dos and what's in progress, what's being reviewed, and then what's been completed. So there is this view that maybe, basically, at least the way I have been thinking about so far about the tech debrief is that this is already available to folks, what I'm showing now, as, okay, what tasks are done, what is going on. And I try to use the tech debrief more as a way of giving a little bit of color to what's being done, what is behind these tasks, kind of a thing, and their relationship to the overall goal we're pursuing. So that's how I think about it, but certainly open to comments and critique to improve the tech debrief content. So, but I just want to make sure people are aware of this, that this is there on the GitHub already where they can see at any given point in time. Tomislav and the team are very particular about making sure that this is updated as things move through the cycle. And some of that actually happens through the GitHub magic as they tag the tasks, it just goes into the right bucket. So that's, wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Awesome. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
There's been a lot of talk in the news lately about Twitter and Elon Musk. Twitter's as sort of thought of as the town square. And with Elon Musk indicating that he's going to be purchasing Twitter, one of the things that he's interested in addressing is all of the bots that are out there So in Elon's future Twitter, identity is going to be an important aspect where he wants all humans to be verified. So, so I'm curious as far as what your thoughts are on Twitter and Elon and that news. And also perhaps, if we look forward to a decentralized Twitter in the future, what sort of applications and role could blockchain play in regards to identity and identity verification and self-sovereign identity?
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely feel that self-sovereign identity is tailor-made for the blockchain, and we've talked about that on numerous occasions. And with self-sovereign identity, and efforts like RChat and RVote, I believe we can roll out very, very significant decentralized versions of Twitter in a very short period of time. I think that it's ripe for the taking at this point. We've demonstrated a lot of what's necessary in order to build it is actually functional and ready to build on. And the more someone would undertake to do that, the more it would drive us to push the platform to the performance demands necessary to do that. I think, since it is official that Elon Musk has purchased Twitter, I think, those people who remain on Twitter will either be known as Musk rats or Musketeers, one or the other. I think a lot of people are taking a wait and see attitude. I think I saw an interesting article that suggested that the idea that Musk is as strong an advocate of free speech as is made out, might not be 100% accurate. But I have not had a chance to really dig into the material to see whether or not that's the case. But certainly some people are arguing that the free speech thing is really a narrative as opposed to or maybe an aspiration as opposed to a reality. Mm-hmm. So that's an interesting. I think everyone is going to have to deal with it. I do think that verification of all humans is not practical. There are billions of humans that don't even have bank accounts. So the idea that people are going to be verified and that we'll be able to winnow out those which are AI and deep fake is I think that's wishful thinking, but I could be wrong. It'd be great if I were wrong.
Steve Henley, has there been any indication as to how he's going to do this KYC verification idea he has, or is he being silent about that now?
No, I haven't seen any further information on that front. Yeah, he sort of published a wish list of things that he'd like to see Twitter accomplish. That was one of them, and there's talk of an edit button and a few other things. So, but we'll see what happens.
There was a great interview that Scott Galloway did. Some of you might know who he is recently on this, and he was saying, who woke up the morning after Elon said he was going to buy Twitter and said, "Oh, finally, I am free to post what I want. The reign of oppression is over." I think Twitter already feels like a pretty free place to be. But I think it's kind of funny that he said, what could Elon possibly want to post that he hasn't already posted? And I sort of agree with that. So, but I see there's some different opinions in the chat. People get shadow banned without even knowing it. Yeah, I mean, I guess so. But I think it's kind of the bigger danger to democracy to me is that somebody with enough money can just buy a platform with no other basically vetting or qualification other than they can afford it. But that's just my 2 cents.
I find it interesting, the choice of words, town square. He left out one word that's usually associated with those 2 words, which is public. So, Twitter is a privately owned corporation. And I think it's really important. It's non-trivial to kind of conflate those terms. So, I find that kind of interesting. And also too, Elon, he posted some other in his wish list that I've noticed. One of them is that he's planning on open sourcing all the algorithms. That's good. I like that idea.
Yeah.
He's also planning on, I think, getting rid of advertising, or at least that's one of the thoughts that he has.
Yeah, I'd like to see everyone paying subscription, see how that works out.
Yeah, it would be really interesting if he plans on doing it. It sure will be an interesting public experiment on how successful that goes.
Doesn't this go back to your 3 key points that free with advertising is greater than paywall, right?
Yeah, but this is. I mean, the interesting thing is how addicted are people to Twitter, right? If he's already got 200 million users that are addicted, who will pay the whatever $2.99 a month, that may be sufficient. But I think most people who are coming there for the first time will not. If there's a good alternative, they will pick that alternative as opposed to do the paywall.
Yeah, but it's also interesting to think about the influence of advertisers on who gets canceled, right? Like, I think that's one of Elon's concerns on Twitter is that advertisers approach Twitter and say, cancel this account, cancel that account, because, we don't like them or whatever. And so, one side of me says, well, maybe it's good that, advertisers shouldn't be the deciders of who gets to have a voice on Twitter. But then the other side of me says, well, it's not just advertisers that are influencing Twitter to cancel accounts. Words have consequence. Words are not to be taken lightly. They can be utilized as a weapon. And there are people who use words on Twitter that have caused death and damage and harm to people. So how do you weigh that stuff out? It's not a simple answer to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone recognizes that there's responsibility and culpability if someone shouts fire in a crowded movie house, right? That's actually a crime. So
right.
So there is a sense in which being aware of our responsibility to speech is very important.
Yeah. It's very interesting. It's going to be really interesting to watch.
Yeah. Elon Musk is definitely not Jack Dorsey.
Yeah, Jack Dorsey gave him a big thumbs up, though. And I'm just super curious about what's going to happen to the Blue Sky project. They claim that Elon is not going to affect in any way what their project is, how their project is going. But I'm just really curious to see what happens with that.
Yeah. All right. Unless there's any other burning comments or questions, I really appreciate everyone taking time out of their day, and looking forward to seeing you all next week, and seeing many of you in the closed door session on Friday. Lots of good stuff is happening. So hope to see you there. Thanks again. Please stay cool, be safe, and see you on the other side.